You already know walking burns calories, but did you know that walking within 15 minutes of eating can significantly curb your blood sugar spike before insulin even needs to step in? That short window after a meal determines how high your glucose rises and whether your energy stabilizes or crashes. Thousands of years ago, Ayurvedic physicians prescribed just 100 steps after every meal. Modern research now shows why. Today, we're breaking down the 10 measurable changes that happen when you start walking after meals and the exact protocol that makes it work. So let's get into it, starting with benefit number 10, blood sugar regulation. After you eat, your blood sugar rises. That's normal. But how much it rises depends on what you ate. If your meal was carb-heavy or poorly combined, you're looking at a sharper spike followed by a crash, brain fog, and that excess sugar getting shuttled into fat storage. A 2022 meta-analysis found that walking for just 2 to 5 minutes after a meal significantly blunts glucose peaks. Here's why. Your muscles are hungry for fuel, and when you move them, they pull sugar straight from the bloodstream before insulin even has to get involved. You're essentially smoothing out the curve, and whether your meal was perfectly balanced or a little indulgent, walking helps your body handle it better. And this ties directly into benefit number 9, which is insulin efficiency. Your pancreas is one of the hardest working organs in your body. Every single time you eat, it has to pump out insulin to manage the glucose entering your bloodstream. But when you walk after meals, your muscles become more insulin sensitive, which means they can absorb glucose on their own without needing as much insulin to do it. Research has found that walking after meals actually reduces the insulin area under the curve, indicating improved insulin efficiency and less strain on the pancreas. Do this once, and it's a nice little benefit. But do this consistently after every meal, and you're fundamentally changing your metabolic health. You're protecting yourself from insulin resistance, you're reducing your risk of type 2 diabetes, and you're addressing the root dysfunction that sits underneath almost every modern chronic disease. And you're doing it with a walk. Not a pill, not a shot, just a walk. Now let's talk about what's happening in your gut with benefit number 8, easing digestion. You know that feeling after a big meal where food just sits in your stomach like a brick and you feel like you need to unbutton your pants? Part of that is probably your body reacting because you ate too much, your food combinations weren't ideal, or most likely, both. But walking will help alleviate those issues. Here's why. Your digestive system relies on something called gastric motility, which refers to the muscular contractions that physically push food through your system. When you walk, you're mechanically stimulating those contractions and telling your gut to move things along. The result is faster digestion, less bloating, and actually feeling lighter instead of needing a nap. Speaking of discomfort after eating, let's talk about benefit number 7, which is heartburn prevention. If you've ever dealt with acid reflux or heartburn, you know how miserable it can be. Most people blame the food, saying it was too spicy, too acidic, or they ate too much. And sure, those things matter. But here's what most people miss. It's not just what you eat, it's what you do after you eat. When you lie down or slouch on the couch after a meal, you're basically inviting stomach acid to creep back up into your esophagus because gravity is no longer on your side. But when you walk, you stay upright, you keep gravity working for you, and the gentle movement actually speeds up stomach emptying, so there's less acid sitting around looking for trouble. This is the simplest heartburn fix that no one talks about, and it doesn't require a single antacid. All right, benefit number 6 is going to resonate with anyone who's ever struggled with snacking because it's all about craving control. You finish a meal, you're full, you know you're full, but 20 minutes later you're eyeing the pantry. That urge isn't hunger, it's a nervous system that's bored and looking for stimulation. A post-meal walk disrupts that entire pattern because it gives your brain the novelty it was actually craving. It shifts your environment, changes your state, and breaks the loop before it starts. You come back from that walk and suddenly the cookies don't call to you anymore. This isn't willpower, this is biology. You're just working with it instead of against it. Speaking of working with your biology, let's talk about benefit number 5, which is sustained energy. You know that 2 p.m. crash where you can barely keep your eyes open? Most people either reach for caffeine or just push through it. But here's what a post-meal walk actually does. It redistributes blood flow throughout your body and keeps oxygen moving to your brain. Your muscles wake up, your circulation improves, and your whole system stays alert instead of shutting down. 10 minutes on your feet after lunch, outside in the fresh air and sunshine, and you come back sharper, clearer, and more focused than any cup of coffee could ever make you. You're no longer fighting your body's natural rhythms, you're working with them. Okay, benefit number 4 is one most people never even think about, and it's nutrient absorption. We spend so much time obsessing over the perfect diet that we completely miss the most important part, which is that healthy digestion isn't just about breaking down food, it's about absorbing what you broke down. You could eat the cleanest, most nutrient-dense meal on Earth, but if your body can't absorb those nutrients, what's the point? You're just making expensive waste. Walking after meals increases blood flow to the intestinal lining, which enhances your body's ability to uptake the necessary vitamins, minerals, and amino acids. You're not just digesting, you're actually assimilating. You're getting more value out of every single bite. And that brings us to the other end of the equation with benefit number 3, waste elimination. I know, nobody wants to talk about pooping, but here's the truth. If you're not eliminating properly, you're slowly poisoning yourself. I know that sounds dramatic, but think about it. Waste sitting in the colon isn't just uncomfortable, it's toxic. When waste doesn't get eliminated, it starts fermenting and breeding bacteria. And the longer it sits there, the more those toxins get reabsorbed back into your system. Walking after meals trains your bowels to move on a schedule because your digestive system is primed and peristalsis is already active. By creating regularity, you're preventing stagnation. This isn't just a bathroom issue, this is disease prevention. The colon is where problems start when waste has nowhere to go. Keep things moving and you're keeping yourself healthy at the most fundamental level. Now let's go somewhere most people would write off as woo-woo with benefit number 2, emotional processing. You've probably heard that the gut is the second brain. Well, it's not just a saying. Your gut and your brain are in constant communication through the vagus nerve. When you're stressed, digestion shuts down. And when digestion stagnates, your mood suffers. It's a two-way street. Walking breaks that loop. When you move after a meal, you burn off cortisol, which is the stress hormone that accumulates throughout the day. You're also releasing endorphins, which elevates your mood and shifts your nervous system into parasympathetic mode. That's the rest and digest state where healing actually happens. But here's the deeper layer. You're not just processing food. You're processing experiences, emotions, and the events of your day. You're metabolizing stress, and you're letting go of what doesn't serve you. You're not just digesting dinner, you're digesting life. And finally, benefit number 1, habit formation. This one isn't about biology, it's about psychology. And honestly, it might be the most important benefit on the entire list. Here's why most people fail at exercise. They try to find time. They say they'll work out when they have a free hour, but that hour never comes. Life fills every gap, and motivation fades the moment you're tired, busy, or just not feeling it. But when you tie walking to meals, you don't need motivation. The meal is the cue. You eat, you walk. It's not something you have to schedule or think about or find time for. It becomes automatic and non-negotiable. This is how habits actually stick. You attach them to something you're already doing. And eating, you're already doing that every single day. However many meals you eat, that's how many walks you take. The movement adds up without you ever having to find time to exercise. Now that you've made it to the end, as promised, Here's the exact post-meal walking protocol, because you can't just aimlessly wander outside and expect miracles. There's a strategy for success. Factor 1 is timing. You need to start walking within 15 minutes of your last bite. This is when glucose is flooding your bloodstream and when your digestive system is most active. If you wait an hour, you've missed it. The spike has already happened and the damage is already done. 15 minutes. Set a timer if you have to. Factor 2 is pace. A leisurely stroll won't cut it. You need to hit what's called the talk test zone, and here's how you know you're there. You should be able to hold a conversation, but you shouldn't really want to. If you can belt out a song, you're going too slow. If you're gasping for air, you're going too fast. Find that sweet spot where your heart is engaged and your body is working, but you're not straining. That's where the metabolic magic happens. Pro tip: leave your phone at home on the charger while you walk. This will keep you focused on your pace, your posture, and give your body some much-needed time away from devices. Factor 3 is duration. The minimum effective dose is 10 minutes. That's enough to stop the glucose spike and kickstart digestion. But if you want the full cascade of benefits, including the craving reset, the energy rescue, and the emotional processing, aim for 15 to 20 minutes. Now, some of you might be wondering, what about cleaning the kitchen? Does doing the dishes count? Here's the honest answer. It helps, but it's not the same. Research shows that standing and light movement after a meal reduces glucose by about 9.5% compared to sitting. But walking reduces it by 17%. That's nearly double the benefit. So yes, clean your kitchen, but then take the walk. Or better yet, let the dishes wait and walk first. The Ayurvedic physicians called this practice Shatapavali, meaning 100 steps after every meal. Turns out, they were being modest, but they understood the core truth that modern science now fully agrees with. Digestion is not passive, it's an active process, and you're either helping it or you're blocking it. The pharmaceutical industry can't bottle this, and the fitness industry can't sell you a membership for it. It's free, it's ancient, and it works. The only question is whether you'll actually do it or keep sitting while your biology pays the price. If you're ready to commit to the post-meal protocol, share this video with someone you love and then drop a comment below and tell me who you're walking with. I want to see who's actually serious about this. And if you want to dive even deeper into how to work with your body instead of against it, watch one of these videos right here. Remember, longevity isn't luck, it's a lifestyle. Until next time.